today I'm going to show you how I cut my long hair into long layers. I've been cutting my hair for a couple of years now, saving me so much money, and it's so much easier, and I can do it whenever I want to without scheduling an appointment with anybody. And I can also cut exactly the amount off that I want to cut off and not run the risk of getting a bad haircut. So it's all about knowing the right techniques. I have been to cosmetology school, so I've been trained in hair cutting, and I understand the basic principles of a layered haircut. So this may be a bit of an awkward video because I'm gonna have to reach really high up, and I'll try to make sure that I stay in frame so you can see what I'm doing. I'm hoping this will be helpful to you and hopefully save you tons of money in the future and empower you that you can do your own hair. First step, you wanna take a hairbrush like this one, and you want to get all the tangles out of your hair. Notice that my hair is clean and dry and it's perfectly straight. I've actually used a straightening iron on it to get it as stick straight as possible. And I like to cut my hair dry instead of wet because you can see the lines immediately after you've cut them. That way you can tell if there's any sort of chunks that you need to smooth out, and you're not going to be surprised later on when you dry it. It's easier to hold the hair and easier to see what you've cut. So dry hair, straight hair, if your hair has a bit of wave to it, use a straightening iron and then brush out all the tangles. Make sure that it's as straight as possible. And then a really important step is that you want to part it where you're planning to part it. Like, don't go down the middle and cut your hair down the middle if you don't wear your hair down the middle. So I always part on the left side. That's why I just keep my part where it naturally lies. You're gonna need a couple of tools for this. A comb like this one, and a pair of scissors that are special hair cutting scissors to make sure that it's super sharp. I recommend you get these at a beauty supply store. 2 clippies like these ones. I don't know what these are called, but they're, you know, long flat ones. First thing you're gonna do is take your comb and you're gonna separate from your part to behind your ear like this, right there. The reason you separate this section is because if you go all the way down to the bottom, you can see these are your front layers. They're like the wispy ones, and they don't really have what's called a perimeter, which is this bottom line of your hair. That's what we call the perimeter, wherever the ends of your hair stop. See, this piece doesn't have a perimeter. It just fades off into the nothingness. That's why you want to separate this piece out and cut it separately, because this is not part of your other layers. Clipped, looking all fancy. And we do the same thing to the other side. It's really important. This is like one of the first things you learn about layered haircuts, is that the front face pieces, they don't go with the rest. Our first step is going to be to decide how long we want our layers to be. So what you can do, I'll usually take the top section like this, and then you grab it and you decide when you pull it down, do I want it to be this long or this long or this long, however long you want it to be. You can see mine are already considerably shorter than my ends. I like shorter layers because it gives your hair more volume and more shape than if it's all just straight, all just one length. Since I just cut my hair recently, I'm not going to take a whole lot off. I'm just kind of explaining the concept and showing you how I do it, but I will actually cut a little bit because that way you'll really get the idea. Okay. Now, once you comb that top section all the way up and you find out how long you want it to be, and so for me it's going to be this long, you always want to cut up. It's so important that you cut up because that way when you let it down, it's not going to have any harsh lines. Cutting up is where it's at. You grab it really tight, then you pull it in front of your face where you can actually see it, and you point cut. Can you guys see what this looks like? Point, 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 like this. So you never want to take the scissors this way to your hair. Always angled, so when they take hairs off, they're kind of making like little triangle shapes. Boom, 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 boom. But you can still see that there's a general line here that's straight, right? See that? And if you need to cut a little bit more, you cut a little bit more. But if not, if you're happy with it, then you let it down, shake it out, and then you're gonna grab your next section. Basically, I will comb down the back. I'll take my fingers like this and separate about a 2-inch section. And then I'm gonna comb it sideways so it's like big mohawk. Once you got your big mohawk, you're gonna squeeze it with your fingers, lift it all the way up. You're using what you just cut as your guide. Can you see where that is? This is my guide. And this is the hair that needs to be cut to match the guide. You want everything to be that long. And you go in and point cut it. And you know, I don't have a lot to cut off because I did this pretty recently. But you're always gonna follow the same pattern every time you trim your hair, so. It makes it a lot easier once you've done it once. Like if I was showing this from scratch, there would be like a lot of hair to cut off, but since I've already done this, it's just like a little trim. You go and you take the next section about 2 inches over to the side and you comb it up. And then I'm gonna pull it straight up. Everything should be about, you know, lining up with that guide. You take little bits off and then you just repeat. You keep going to the next section. Now, once you get to this side, where you're at your last section before your part, that may be a little bit trickier because you want to make sure that you over direct it all towards the top, right? Everything should be directed towards this middle point that is right above your head. So hopefully you can see that, you know, as you're combing the hair down, everything is sort of in even layers and there's no straight lines, right? You can't hardly even see any separation. All it does is give it more body and more like lift, you know, like more fullness to it. I find that especially with my hair, it can be very limp when it's all one length. So the layers are very necessary. Okay, so keep going. We're gonna get this one last section here. All right. Wow, this is looking really cute. Really cute. Look and make sure that there's no really harsh lines. So I usually use another mirror. So I have a mirror on each side and I can tell what the back is looking like and make sure it's even from all sides. But the one thing you can do to double check yourself and just make sure that you got every single piece of hair and you didn't miss any sections, and this is an important step because I usually miss a couple of sections, so this helps me every time. What you want to do is tilt your head all the way upside down like this, and you're gonna make one giant ponytail out of it, and you're gonna smooth it all out from the very bottom of your neck all the way up, and make sure that that front part is still staying out of this because this is not, has nothing to do with the front part. I know you get anxious about that part, but you gotta leave that part till the very end. So once you pull this all up into one big cone head ponytail, then you check out that top and make sure that it's directly on top of your head. You don't want it like back behind and you don't want it like in front of you. It needs to be straight up and nice and tight. Now pull everything super tight, make sure it's even, and then you're gonna check out the top and see how did I do? Is there anything sticking out of there? And you can see there is. You hold it there, then you tilt the whole thing forward, and you just get those little guys even. Once your little cone head pony is looking good, you can just shake it out. Shake it out, shake it out. And that is done. So this is how it looks. Does it look good? Does it look good, Boo? Okay, so you're gonna take your little clippies out of the front. Go ahead and just let it loose because you're gonna combine it with the rest of the hair now. Let it loose. Now, your front layers are gonna be treated very differently than the rest. These ones, you wanna over direct and pull them forward instead of straight up. You wanna make sure that the ends of them blend in with the rest of the hair and, you know, make sure that there's no gaps or no holes there. So what you can do is start with the section that is very, like, really close to your ear, and you're gonna pull this down and sort of angle your fingers until you get those little ends. Like this, kind of pull it out a little bit, and then you can see while you're trimming and just give it a little nip. And you're gonna do this same thing all the way up. And again, I never like to cut like directly into a line. It's always towards the ends of the hair, like angular, parallel, like not completely parallel, kind of angular. You're gonna do the same thing on the other side. And for the bangs, if you wanted your bangs to be separate, you would take this section from your part down to the corner of your eyebrow, and then again from the part to the corner of the eyebrow. Depending on how thick you want your bangs to be, you could go farther back, or you could just take a little wispy amount and you can do your bangs separately. But for me, I like my bangs blended in with the rest, so I don't really cut them too drastically. I just get the split ends. Ta-da! The final piece is going to be that perimeter that we talked about, the bottom of your hair. And now what you're gonna do is from the top of your head, you're gonna take that part all the way down to the nape of your neck, and then you're gonna split it in just to 2 big sections. You wanna comb the sections forward towards your chest. You want to really keep it close to your skin as you're going down. Try not to pull it away from you, but really keep it close to your skin, and you're going directly straight down, and you separate your fingers like this, pinch the hair, and pull it all the way down straight. So now you can see that we have a sort of straight line here, but of course I don't like the line to be super blunt as well. I like it to be more like soft. So what I'll do with this line is, again, point cut it just to, and that's very sanitary, just to make sure that it's no split ends, but I'm not actually trying to cut off any length. And if you are wondering how to get your hair to grow long, this is one of my best tips for you, is stop cutting the length. I know it's so hard to do because you always think that you need to cut the length to keep your hair healthy, but honestly, you'll get much better results if you keep your layers trimmed. And the layers can go, I mean, I showed you how short mine are. They can be a lot shorter than the bottom. So you can get a lot of trims here before you go for the trims here. And that'll help keep length at the same time as keeping your hair healthy. So that's been one of the best tips for me. I've been cutting my hair for like 3 years now, but I never take a significant amount off the length, and that helps so much. So once you're done trimming your perimeter, I suggest that you pull both sides down towards the center and just make sure that they line up, because this is really important. You don't want one side longer than the other. And that is it. Hopefully you enjoyed this soft, long layers, how to cut your hair yourself at home tutorial today. If you did enjoy this, please give this video a thumbs up. And subscribe to my channel, because I'm sharing new do-it-yourself and natural beauty remedies all the time, every week, every Friday. And I love your guys' user feedback and interaction here. I love your comments. They really make my day. So please leave a comment. Tell me a little bit about yourself and if this video was useful. I'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye. And so this is my finished product, my new cleanser that is made with 20% castor oil, 40% grapeseed oil, and then 40% of almond oil.